I'm assuming if you've clicked on this video, you're familiar with Kim the Belle and Belair, CEO and purveyor of all things le cringing gay. That is Sweet Baby Inc., the narrative and consultancy company that is a front for political indoctrination, let's not kid ourselves. So she's having some problems, because when you're openly shoving in le cringing gay, people have receipts. Most of those receipts being your own words, it's kind of difficult to feel sorry for you, as you get funding from the state to ruin everything you touch as you essentially become the kiss of death. So she did yet another conference, the previous one being 5 years ago, and oh, what do you know, both of the videos have their comments disabled. I wonder why. I imagine for the same reason the X accounts are always protected, if not disabled because they've left the platform because Elon Musk apparently annoyed and offended them. By the way, the channel this is on, GDC, is a joke. I went poking through their metrics just because I'm crazy that way. The last 6 months, they did 48 videos, just shy of 750,000 views. Only 2 of them passed the 50k mark. They have more than 500,000 subs. I have less than 50k, and my last 48 videos, I have more than twice that view count. I'm not implying I'm better, I'm outright saying I'm better. So I wanted to go through some of her pathetic sob story over here, if for no other reason other than to mock her hypocritical two-faced bullshittery. And no, I won't play all of it, don't worry. I don't hate you guys, and it's going to mess with my habit of sampling pain thinner, so roll it.
By day, I am the crazed CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., the DEI-obsessed censorship mafia who is currently ruining and wokeifying all of the video games that you've ever played.
Nice attempt at hyperbole, shame you became a writer. That's about the closest thing she will get to honesty in this entire damn thing, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you, it's hard work. If you haven't heard of Sweet Baby Inc., thank you. That's actually how I prefer it.
Then why the hell are you doing this conference and allowing it to be uploaded to the internet? You prefer not to be known. Well, that does explain why your company went apeshit at Cabrutus for simply telling people what projects you've worked on.
But if you have, it's either because of the over 80 amazing and often award-winning games that we've worked on, or actually one of those, Usual June, was at this very conference. So yeah, you've either heard us from all of these wonderful games, or perhaps you're familiar with the nearly year-long hate campaign that has been waged against us as a team.
And already what she just said makes no sense. You'd prefer not to be known, but if you were, you'd hope it's for games you've worked on. What else would you be known for? The people who don't like you also know of you, and for the same reason. I wonder if there might be some missing variable here.
Unfortunately, today I'm here to talk about that in a talk I'm going to call What Happens When You Get Harassed? A Sweet Baby Story.
Okay, I'll give you all a TLDR. We're an innocent company, and everyone who hates us are far-right supremacists. Seriously, if you want to watch this whole stupid thing, that's basically it. There's no talk of quality, there's no talk of what the consumer wants, no talk of why your stupid games don't sell all that well, why your company has the reputation they do, which is why the Steam Curator was made in the first place. There is, as is always the case with these gremlins when they're found out, no reflection on why people dislike them at all, they just cry victim. What other group have you guys noticed does the same thing?
At the time, the industry was kind of responding in the way you might imagine, with a lot of corporate overpromising, but within the writing sphere, there were a lot of offers for portfolio reviews. Like, hey, if you're a marginalized or especially a black dev, we would love to give you a portfolio review and
give you special bonus points because we're pushing diversity, and by using this metric of marginalized, we're automatically implying that systemic racism is a thing.
I want to say I love portfolio reviews. It's something that we also do at Sweet Baby for free, so if anybody in the audience right now is looking for a little bit of a portfolio review or want us to talk about video games, we'd love to do that. But the problem with portfolio reviews is that they also assume that it's a meritocracy, right? They assume the problem is your portfolio and not the fact that maybe there's a lot of other reasons that you are not getting the gig, so.
Yeah, that currently being, you're not a fan of progressive politics, and or you have blonde hair and blue eyes, and of course a penis, and you prefer the company of someone that doesn't have one and hate them.
And so in that year, we ended up with a lot of people who he connected to, and we talked a lot about advocacy, we talked a lot about helping people get into the industry.
To destroy it, like I said, the receipts are often your own words, so let's hear your own words here, shall we?
And so today, what we do is writing, narrative design, story building, story breaking as our first and foremost, but on a secondary level, we work very hard to get marginalized talent into the industry, to protect them the way that we would want to have been protected, to lift them up, and to get them into an industry where they're too often shut out. And basically, I think to take over in the hopes that some really dope people will be able to lead into kind of a new era for an industry that's been kind of, the same way too long.
There you go. Make no mistake, these types are just evil. They hate Europeans, and they want to remove all Europeans from any and all positions of authority and power. And we all know where that goes.
We also talked a lot about the importance of telling stories from a variety of perspectives, and especially of having those writers and those creators in the room to help you with that. And as we joined new conversations, as we worked on more projects, more people joined our team. And so in that year, or in those subsequent years, we grew from a team of only 5 to a team of 16 incredibly talented people. And during that time, as you might imagine, a lot of game teams were looking for guidance, both in terms of narrative, but also in terms of learning how to tell diverse stories and feature diverse characters.
And the question that everyone is asking is, why are you necessary? Have any games improved since you power-hungry psychotic wankers have infected the gaming sphere? No. The best years of gaming are well over a decade behind us, and none of your race-betting and Weimar Republic level of sexual degeneracy was welcomed or needed then, so why the hell do you exist now?
When I was a kid, I learned a lot about Carrie Fisher. And beyond her acting career, she was actually a very respected script doctor in Hollywood. And I remember finding that so fascinating and really, really striking, because quite famously, she was someone who struggled a lot with the eye of fame, but it was so comforting and interesting to hear that in this community of artists and writers, she was deeply respected just for her craft. And if I'm being honest, just as a creative myself, that's all I've really ever wanted. I've never wanted to be known by audiences, really. I have never wanted to be known by gamers, certainly. And I've wanted to be... I have wanted to be known by game devs and writers especially. I want teams and studios and writers and creatives to think of us when they need a hand, when they want that more support. I want to be a game dev's game dev, and that's where I hoped it would be, but...
You never wanted to be known by gamers, then why the hell are you in the gaming sphere, you elitist asshole? If I'm working in an industry where my handiwork is supposed to help a product sell, I would hope the developers know me and want to work with me because my skills can help make their product successful because the customer likes it. Not because I have alarmingly low levels of self-esteem and desperately seek validation in the hopes that someone fillets my fragile, bloody ego. And never mind your politics, which is completely toxic. You're just an incredibly unlikable person.
That is not what happened. Because in October of 2023, we had about 70 games under our belt at the time, but 2 of them, 2 very, very big ones, were about to drop within a week of each other. So on October 23rd, there was Spider-Man 2, and then on October 27th, there was Alan Wake 2, both big AAA games, and we had worked on narrative and character for both of them with literally years of work on Spider-Man 2, and we would finally get to announce them. We were very excited. In retrospect, we were actually comically excited because we had a couple thousand followers at the time, mostly game devs, and we were like, okay, it's time to stand up and be proud of our work. Wow, this is gonna be really nice. And I remember even thinking that morning as we made these posts, I wonder if anyone's gonna notice that we posted about Spider-Man, we're also posting about Alan Wake. Will anyone put it together? Because I think our way of working at Sweet Baby, the kind of teamwork that we do on so many different games, is really, really unique. I think it's really cool. I think people will be excited about it and about our craft.
Okay, can someone explain this one to me? If she claims to have no desire to be known by gamers, what exactly is the metric for you to be excited for here if and when your project is finally finished? If you're only working with people inside your little echo chamber, whose opinion exactly are you looking for here? Are they industry heads? You're gonna find their opinion on Google, are you? Or are you just looking for the likes of IGN to kiss your ass? As you also claim you never wanted to be known. I have no idea what she's talking about. I find it fascinating these people live in this weird echo chamber, yet also the internet exists and you work in the biggest entertainment sector in the world. I can't imagine how warped their ego must make them.
So I decided to do a cheeky Google and see hey, had anyone put that together? The Google went bad. I shouldn't have done it because rather than any praise or people going, wow, how did you do it? Or just, hey, a narrative development company, what does that mean? I'm really interested. We were instead found by kind of 4chan and the worst people on Twitter.
Ah, yes, 4chan and the Twatter, the last bastions of sense in Western civilization. And the fact that there's elements of truth behind that statement is kind of horrifying. But anyway, look at the bottom right one there. Often hide behind a fragile mask to conceal their true intentions. This organization has completely infiltrated the industry. Your own words.
Get them into an industry where they're too often shut out. And basically, I think, to take over.
I don't even need to say anything. I can just show people what you say.
Literally within a few hours of me seeing that first post, we were not only being accused of, forcing a black person into Alan Wake, which, one, is cool, but we didn't do.
We didn't do that, but if we did, it would have been cool.
And I once worked on a project where they had an all-white cast, and they expressed their desire, like, okay, we need to mix it up a bit. How about this character's kind of like stereotypically French? So they have a beret, and they have like a striped shirt. And I was like, okay, if you need to do that, can we at least make them a person of color?
Because France is historically known for being full of people of color, and not for Napoleon, King Louis, and of course guillotines.
Suddenly, we were being told that we were, funded by BlackRock, and that actually we weren't a narrative development company. We were a DEI company, some kind of vaguely defined censor, and that we were here to use all of the power we had amassed to force companies to go woke.
Again, you literally boast about displacing the sort of native founders of an industry that was made by and predominantly for European males, because that's the audience.
And obviously that's a very baffling understanding of what work for hire is. I'm not sure how they imagined we did it or how the contracts would be drawn up for it, but...
Well, seeing as I'm familiar with your toxic product, let's see what you said 5 years ago.
I'm the co-founder of a little narrative development company called Sweet Baby Inc. We do narrative development in games and kind of beyond, and we try to bring a lot of inclusion, diversity, and new ideas kind of to the industry.
Inclusion and diversity to the industry. Care to explain why your website listed those things before, but not now? Now they've been scrubbed, and your client list gone. Could it possibly be because you're the insecure losers who have no talent whatsoever, and in a previous civilization you would have been cast aside and forgotten because you don't have the metal to keep up with the rest of the herd? You guys ever seen the beginning of 300? Yeah, they would have been discarded.
It kind of didn't matter because it just kept evolving and spinning out of control, and suddenly the conspiracy was just alive.
Told you, you can show their own words to people and they will still always gaslight you and call it a conspiracy.
That's me. I'm the CEO. I have issues.
Okay. The CEO of Sweet Baby is all fucked up.
Shout out to Harmful Opinions, by the way, because that clip was from the video she just referenced.
At best, the nicest thing you would see in some of these spaces was that we were a punchline. But any defenders were really, really shouted down quite quickly. And
based more of it, make them feel unwelcomed. We are not a space of inclusivity, we are very much spaces of exclusivity. Your place is earned, not given.
In moments when this movement couldn't dig up another reason to attack us, they would just kind of move on to other groups who they perceived to be like us. All while, doing the work of erasing all of those people's and our actual jobs and interest.
Good, again, more of it. Just because you do a job does not mean it's desired or valid. I know this is frame-breaking to you people.
And papering over it with kind of, that rallying cry of far-right supremacy, DEI. We do narrative development in games and kind of beyond, and we try to bring a lot of inclusion, diversity.
Far be it from us to actually listen to what you have to say, look at what you do, and go, yeah, piss off, your poison isn't exactly our flavor.
As ridiculous and stupid as it all was, I actually was not prepared for the escalation of it when noted buffoon and Twitter CEO Elon Musk.
You do not speak ill of my countryman. I will make sure he isn't the only South African who criticizes you.
Decided that he would chime in with his very cool thoughts.
Based, I thoroughly approve of Lord Musk and him using his powers to condemn you and wish upon you financial ruin.
When Elon chimed in, it really made me realize the scale of it, because the richest man in the world was suddenly turning like the Eye of Sauron onto 16 people trying to make a pretty modest living in the industry that they love, and he was arguing for our collapse.
As is the case with all leftists, narcissism is their default state of being. There will be no self-reflection whatsoever, and as usual, they will play the victim card, even as they rid their own website of the values they once championed, and openly tell you their goal is to purge your kind from the industry, all the while never being known to the consumer. You know, Oren McIntyre often says you never hate journalists enough. I do believe you and the journalists share something in common.
More specifically, what happened during all of this, if I can kind of dig down into this review, is, we lost our voice. And we didn't just lose our voice as a collective, we lost our voices individually because people on our team were either hounded off of social media or, they get attacked so consistently that it just becomes frustrating to use. It's not enjoyable to hop on anywhere and get that wave of hate, so...
And yet your entire profession consists of shoving in incredibly divisive, unwelcome piles of wank that pisses off the overwhelming majority of consumers. I will go on record as saying, naturally within the bounds of the law, I have to say this for legal reasons, by the way, very little, if any, animosity you receive is not justified. And I base this purely on your insufferable arrogance, unbearable entitlement, and complete inability to self-reflect in any capacity whatsoever.
We are doing something good. We are writers and designers of tremendous skill and tremendous experience, and we've never censored anything, nor have we ever wanted to. Frankly, if you really want my opinion, I think largely games could be hornier. I think they should be darker. I think they should be stranger.
Notice the phrase better is not listed there. I wonder why. If you're people of tremendous skill, why don't you show your client list? Why don't you show your staff and what each of them have worked on? If you're so skilled and you have tremendous writers, why did your staff go apeshit at Cabrutus for the Steam Curator, showing what your company worked on? Aren't you proud of your work? Do tell, because there's a lot of details that don't exactly add up here.
Diversity in narrative makes things more intense. It can make it more visceral and more real. It doesn't have to always make something more wholesome or softer.
No, it doesn't. All you just did was try and apply qualities to slogans in the most vacuous way possible. You may as well have just said ice cream in a shoebox makes your running creamier. Those things are utterly unrelated.
What happens when you get harassed is it doesn't matter what you believe.
No. The reason why you got backlash is precisely because of what you believe and do. My word, the level of gaslighting here should be a damn war crime.
What's also frustrating is that it doesn't matter what they believe either.
Is this before we hear from your own mouth or after you call us all far-right supremacists? Do tell.
Because so much of this campaign is just misinformation. It's assumptions and lies about who we are, what we do, and what we want.
And just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want. Can we at least make them a person of color? And basically, I think, to take over in the hopes that some really dope people will be able to lead into kind of a new era for an industry that's been kind of, the same way too long.
No, it's listening to you, looking at what you do and going fuck off. It's literally that simple. There's nothing more to it than that. Yeah, there's definitely no coercion or threats there at all.
That's the other thing that happens, right? They take away your power in some ways, but they also ascribe to you this enormous power. They will claim that you are rich, that you are backed by, shadowy cabals, government orgs. They claim you have the ability to force their favorite studios to bend to your whim.
And just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Yeah, there's definitely no coercion or threats there at all.
Rather than the truth, which is that studios and teams hire us to make stories better. Not woker, but actually better.
Then give us a single metric by which you can quantify said better. Because no one that's liked by the customer base needs to purge who they've worked with or gets upset when a consumer tells other consumers you've worked on a product, if you indeed make things better.
And believe me,
for so many reasons, and I've given many here, I'm not going to do that. Hey, you guys in the comment section, let's have some reasons why this one is not to be trusted. The rest of this is just pointless whining anyway, so cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.